Her mother's arms snapped like a dry branch. 7-year-old Lily Harper watched from the closet, her small body shaking, her hand clamped over her mouth to trap the scream. Blood. There was blood on the kitchen floor, and Mama wasn't moving. The monster called Marcus stumbled outside to smoke. Lily had 60 seconds, maybe less. She grabbed the cracked phone hidden under the floorboards, typed through her tears, one message, one chance. He broke Mom's arm, please help us. Wrong number, she didn't know it yet. 40 miles away, a Hells Angels biker named Stone read those words. His reply was instant. I'm on my way. If you believe in second chances, subscribe now and stay until the end. Comment your city below. Let's see how far this story reaches tonight. Stone read the message 3 times. He broke Mom's arm. Please help us. His coffee went cold in his hand. The garage felt smaller, suddenly the walls pressing in. He could hear his own heartbeat loud and angry in his ears. This was a mistake. Had to be. Some kid playing a prank or a wrong number meant for someone else. Someone better. Someone who knew what to do. He should call the cops. Let them handle it. His thumb moved to dial 911. Then stopped. Please help us. Stone closed his eyes. And just like that, he was 8 years old again, hiding behind the couch while his daddy beat his mama with a telephone cord. He remembered praying, begging God to send someone, anyone. Nobody came. He opened his eyes and typed, "Where are you, Tunky?" Lily pressed her back against the closet wall, making herself as small as possible. Every muscle in her body screamed to run, but there was nowhere to go. Through the crack in the door, she could see Mama on the kitchen floor. Not moving, her arm bent the wrong way like a doll someone had twisted too hard. Lily's phone buzzed. Where are you? She didn't know this person, didn't know if they were good or bad, but Mama wasn't waking up and Marcus was still out there, and she had nobody else. I don't know, she typed, her fingers clumsy with fear. Red mailbox, big tree, dog next door barks a lot. Please come fast, he's coming back inside. She hit send and held her breath. The front door slammed open. Marcus was back. Grace, where the hell are my cigarettes? His voice cut through the house like a blade. Lily shoved the phone under her shirt, pressing it flat against her stomach. Heavy footsteps crossed the living room. She heard him kick something. A chair, maybe. Then glass breaking. Useless woman. Can't even stay conscious long enough to answer a simple question. Lily peeked through the crack. Marcus stood over Mama, swaying slightly. Drunk. Always drunk these days. He nudged Mama's body with his boot like she was trash on the sidewalk. Get up, he muttered. I know you're faking it. Mama didn't move. Marcus cursed and walked toward the kitchen. Lily heard the refrigerator open. A bottle cap hitting the counter. More drinking. Always more drinking. Her phone buzzed again. Stay hidden. Don't make a sound. I'm coming. What else do you see outside? Lily's hands shook so badly she could barely type. A broke fence. White house, but paint coming off. Truck in driveway. Blue truck. She sent the message and prayed to God this stranger was real. That he was coming. That he wasn't lying just to make her feel better before everything got worse. Because with Marcus, everything always got worse. Stone grabbed his leather cut and threw it over his shoulders. The Hells Angels patch settled against his back like armor. He didn't have an address, didn't have a name. All he had was a terrified kid and a handful of clues. Red mailbox, big tree, blue truck, broken fence. It wasn't much. But Stone had lived in this county his whole life. Knew every back road, every forgotten neighborhood, every place where people went when they had nowhere else to go. He kicked his motorcycle to life and tore out of the garage. The rain hit him immediately, cold and hard. He didn't slow down, didn't care. Somewhere out there, a little girl was counting on him, and Stone knew exactly what it felt like to count on someone who never came. 3 miles and his phone buzzed. He pulled over just long enough to check. He's yelling again. Mama won't wake up. I'm scared. Stone's chest tightened. He typed fast, one-handed. I'm close. Stay quiet. Stay hidden. I won't let you down. He shoved the phone back in his pocket and pushed the bike harder. The speedometer climbed past 60 past 70. Rain blurred his vision, but he didn't care. All he could see was that message. I'm scared. Of course she was scared. She was 7 years old, hiding in a closet while some piece of garbage hurt her mother. She was living Stone's childhood all over again, and he'd be damned if he let it end the same way. First house. Wrong one. Stone pulled into the driveway of a white house with a red mailbox. An elderly man opened the door, took one look at the Hells Angels patch, and nearly had a heart attack. I'm looking for a little girl, Stone said quickly. 7 years old. Her mother's hurt. You seen anything? The old man shook his head, eyes wide with fear. No, nothing. Please, I don't want trouble. You're not in trouble. Sorry to bother you. Stone was already back on his bike before the man finished closing the door. Second house, abandoned, boarded up windows, weeds growing through the porch. Nobody had lived here in years. Come on, he thought. Come on. His phone buzzed. He found me. Marcus ripped the closet door open so hard it nearly came off the hinges. Lily screamed. There you are. His voice was calm now, too calm, the kind of calm that came before the storm. What are you doing in there, little girl? Nothing. I was scared. Scared of what? He grabbed her arm and yanked her out. Scared of me. Is that it? Lily couldn't speak. Couldn't breathe. Her heart pounded so hard she thought it might explode. Marcus's eyes dropped to her shirt, to the rectangular shape pressing against the fabric. What's that? Nothing. Don't lie to me. He grabbed the phone before she could stop him. For a long moment, he just stared at the screen. Reading, his face went from confusion to understanding to rage. You called someone, his voice dropped to a whisper. You called someone to come here to my house. I'm sorry, I didn't mean Mama wasn't waking up, and I didn't know what to do. Who did you call? I don't know, Lily sobbed. I don't know who it is. I typed the wrong number. I'm sorry. Marcus, please, I'm sorry. Marcus laughed, a cold, ugly sound that made Lily's blood freeze. Wrong number. You typed the wrong number and some stranger is coming to save you. He threw the phone against the wall. It shattered into pieces. That's rich. That's really rich. He grabbed Lily by the collar and lifted her off the ground. Let me tell you something, little girl. Nobody's coming. Nobody cares. And even if someone does show up, you know what I've got. He pointed to the shotgun leaning against the corner. I've got insurance, chum. Stone found to the house. White paint peeling. Blue truck in the driveway. Broken fence barely visible through the rain. Red mailbox tilted to one side like a drunk man leaning on a lamppost. This was it. He killed the engine 50 yards out and coasted to a stop. No sense announcing himself. If there was a violent man in that house, and Stone was certain there was, surprise was the only weapon he had. He pulled out his phone and typed one quick message to Razor. Mill Road, White House blue truck. Need backup now, child in danger. Then he walked toward the house. Through the window, Stone could see everything. A man pacing, a little girl dangling from his grip, a woman on the floor not moving, and a shotgun in the corner. Stone's hands curled into fists. Every instinct screamed at him to bust through that door, to beat this man within an inch of his life, to make him pay for every bruise and every broken bone. But he forced himself to think, to plan. Rushing in blind would get someone killed. The girl. Focus on the girl. Stone circled around to the back of the house. The back door was locked, but the lock was cheap. One good kick would handle it. He waited, listened, heard the man shouting about disrespect and betrayal and all the things abusers said to justify their violence. Then he heard the girl scream. Stone stopped waiting. The back door exploded inward. Marcus spun around, dropping Lily. She hit the floor hard, but immediately scrambled away, crawling toward her mother. Who the hell? Stone was already moving, crossing the kitchen in 3 strides. Marcus reached for the shotgun, but Stone got there first. He grabbed the barrel and twisted. The weapon came free like it was made of paper. Try again, Stone said quietly. Marcus swung at him, a wild, drunken haymaker that telegraphed from a mile away. Stone caught his fist mid-air and squeezed. Bones ground together. Marcus screamed. That hurt, Stone asked. Good, now you know how she felt. He shoved Marcus against the wall and pinned him there with one hand on his throat. Don't move, sir. Lily couldn't believe what she was seeing. The man from the phone, the stranger who said he was coming, he was real. He was here, and he was holding Marcus against the wall, like Marcus weighed nothing at all. She crawled to her mother and touched her face. Mama, wake up. Someone came. The angel came. Grace's eyes fluttered open, confused, afraid. Lily, It's okay, Mama, it's okay. He's helping us. Grace looked at Stone, at the leather cut, at the Hell's Angels patch. Her eyes went wide. It's okay, Stone said without turning around. I'm not here to hurt you. I'm here because your daughter sent me a message. A message? She texted the wrong number, but I think maybe it was the right one. Marcus tried to speak. Stone tightened his grip. You don't get to talk. You lost that privilege when you broke her arm. You don't understand. She started it. She wouldn't shut up. I said you don't get to talk. Stone pulled out his phone with his free hand and dialed. Not the local sheriff. Something told him that was a mistake. Instead, he called the state police. I need officers at the old Mill Road, White House blue truck. Domestic violence situation. 1 woman injured, 1 man detained. Possible child endangerment. He gave them the details, his voice calm and steady like he'd done this 100 times. Marcus's face went pale. Wait, hold on. My cousin Wade Holloway, he's the sheriff here. You can't just... Your cousin doesn't work for the state police. Stone smiled. It wasn't friendly. And I've got a little girl who saw everything. You want to tell me how that's going to play in court? Marcus opened his mouth to argue, then closed it. For the first time in his life, he had nothing to say. The sound of motorcycles filled the night. Lily looked up as headlights swept across the windows. 1 bike, then 2, then 3 more. Stone nodded to himself. That's my brothers. Brothers, family, the only kind that matters. The front door opened. A tall man with a gray beard stepped inside, followed by an older man carrying a medical bag. The gray-bearded man surveyed the scene. Stone, situation. Under control. Woman needs medical attention. This one needs a cell. Done. He turned to the older man. Doc, the mother. Doc was already kneeling beside Grace, his hands gentle and sure. Ma'am, I'm going to help you. Just breathe for me. Slow and easy. Grace looked at all these men, bikers, outlaws, the kind of people she'd been taught to fear and saw only kindness. I don't understand, she whispered. Who are you people? Stone finally released Marcus and stepped back. Just some guys who answer wrong numbers. When Lily tugged on the Stone's jacket, he looked down at her, 7 years old, tear-stained face, eyes that had seen too much. Are you really an angel? She asked. Stone thought about all the things he'd done in his life, all the mistakes, all the sins. He was no angel, not even close. But looking at this little girl, this brave, terrified little girl who'd had the courage to reach out to a stranger he wanted to be. No kid, I'm just a guy who got a message. But you came. Yeah, he knelt down to her level. I came. Lily threw her arms around his neck. Stone froze for a moment, unsure what to do. Then slowly he hugged her back. Thank you, she whispered into his ear. Thank you for coming. Stone closed his eyes. For 30 years, he'd carried the weight of a childhood no one had saved him from. For 30 years, he'd wondered why he survived when so many others didn't. Now he knew. He survived so he could be here. Tonight. For this little girl who needed exactly what he'd needed all those years ago. Someone who came. The state police arrived 20 minutes later. 2 officers. Professional. Thorough. They took one look at Marcus, handcuffed now, courtesy of Razor, and started asking questions. Stone told them everything, showed them the text messages, pointed to Grace's arm, to Lily's bruises, to the shotgun Marcus had tried to reach. The lead officer, a woman named Torres, listened without interrupting. You're Hell's Angels, she said finally. I am. And you just happened to receive this text by accident. That's right. Most people would have ignored it. Stone shrugged. I'm not most people. Torres studied him for a long moment. Then she nodded. No, I guess you're not. She turned to her partner. Get him in the car, county lockup, and call ahead, make sure Sheriff Holloway knows this one's out of his hands. Marcus started shouting about his rights, about false imprisonment, about how this wasn't over. Nobody listened. Doc finished splinting Grace's arm. She needs a hospital, he said. The arm's broken in 2 places and I'm worried about a concussion. Ambulance is on its way. Grace looked at Stone. Why? She asked. Why did you come? You don't know us. You don't owe us anything. Stone thought about his mother, about the nights he'd spent hiding under his bed praying for someone to save them, about the morning he'd woken up to find her gone dead from injuries nobody had bothered to report. I came because nobody came for me, he said, and I swore if I ever got the chance, I'd be the one who showed up. Grace's eyes filled with tears. Thank you, she whispered. God bless you. Thank you. Tim. The ambulance arrived at dawn. Stone watched them load Grace onto the stretcher, watched Lily climb in beside her mother, watched the doors close. Then he felt a small hand grab his. Lily had jumped back out. She was looking up at him with those big, serious eyes. Will I see you again? Stone didn't know how to answer. He wasn't good at this. Wasn't good at promises or commitments or any of the things normal people did. But this kid had reached out to a stranger in the dark. She'd taken a chance. The least he could do was take one too. Yeah, he said. You'll see me again. Lily smiled, the first real smile he'd seen on her face all night. Promise, promise. She hugged him one more time, quick and fierce, then ran back to the ambulance. The doors closed. The siren started. And then she was gone. Stone stood in the driveway, rain soaking through his clothes, watching the lights disappear down the road. Razor appeared beside him. Hell of a night. Yeah. You know this isn't over, right? That little girl, her mama, they're going to need help. Real help. Not just one night. Stone nodded slowly. I know. So what are you going to do? Stone thought about his empty house, his empty life, all the years he'd spent running from a past that never stopped chasing him. Maybe it was time to stop running. I'm going to be there, he said. Whatever they need, I'm going to be there. Razor clapped him on the shoulder. Good answer, brother. Good answer. At the hospital, Stone sat in a plastic chair that was too small for his frame. Lily was asleep in the waiting room, her head resting on his leather cut. Every few minutes, she'd whimper in her dreams, and Stone would put his hand on her shoulder until she settled. Grace was in surgery, 2 breaks in her arm, just like Doc said. The doctors were confident she'd recover fully. Stone watched the clock tick, watched the nurses come and go, watched the sun creep higher in the sky. He thought about the message that had started all of this. He broke Mom's arm. Please help us. Such a small thing. Just a few words typed on a cracked phone by a terrified child. But those words had changed everything. They'd brought him here to this hospital, with a little girl sleeping on his vest and a woman he'd never met fighting for her life. They'd reminded him why he was still alive. Stone closed his eyes and let himself rest for the first time in years. When Grace woke up from surgery, the first thing she saw was Stone. He was standing in the doorway, hat in his hands, looking more uncomfortable than she'd ever seen anyone look. Hey, he said awkwardly. Doc said you'd be okay. Where's Lily? Sleeping. One of the nurses is watching her. She didn't want to leave your side, but she crashed about an hour ago. Grace's eyes filled with tears. She's okay. He did not hurt her. A few bruises. Nothing serious. She's tough, that kid. She gets it from me. Grace laughed, then winced. Ow, shouldn't laugh. Probably not. They looked at each other, 2 strangers connected by a miracle neither of them understood. I don't know how to thank you, Grace said finally. I don't even know your name. Stone, Colt Brennan. People call me Stone. Stone, she tested the word. Thank you, Stone, for everything. He nodded, shifted his weight, clearly wanted to escape. I should let you rest. When will you come back? The question surprised them both. I mean, Grace fumbled. Lily keeps asking about you, and we don't have anyone else. My family's gone. Marcus was, I thought he was all we had. Stone stood very still. He thought about walking away, about going back to his empty garage and his empty life and pretending none of this had happened. But then he thought about Lily's face when she asked if he was an angel. And he thought about his mother dead and buried in an unmarked grave because nobody cared enough to save her. Yeah, he said, I'll come back. Grace smiled. tired and broken and hopeful all at once. Good, we'll be here. Stone walked out of the hospital into the morning sun. Razor was waiting by the bikes, 2 cups of coffee in hand. She gonna be okay? Yeah, she's gonna be okay. And the kid, sleeping, finally. Razor handed him a coffee. Stone took it grateful. So what now? Stone looked back at the hospital, at the windows where somewhere inside a mother and daughter were starting a new life. Now we make sure that piece of garbage goes to prison. And after that, Stone took a long sip of coffee. After that, I guess we figure it out. Razor nodded slowly. Good enough for me, brother. Good enough for me. They stood there in silence, 2 old bikers watching the sunrise. Behind them, the hospital hummed with activity. In front of them, the road stretched out toward the horizon. And somewhere in between, a little girl's message was still echoing in Stone's mind. He broke Mom's arm. Please help us. He'd answered that message. He'd shown up. He'd done what nobody had done for him. But this was just the beginning. The real work, the healing, the protecting, the becoming something more than he'd ever been, that work was just starting. Stone finished his coffee and climbed onto his bike. Let's go see about that sheriff, he said. Razor grinned. Now you're talking. They rode off into the morning. The storm had passed, but the journey was just beginning. The road to the sheriff's station took 15 minutes. Stone spent every second of it thinking about what he was going to say, what he was going to do, how far he was willing to go. Razor rode beside him steady as always. They'd been brothers for 23 years, fought together, bled together, buried friends together. There wasn't a man alive Stone trusted more. The station sat at the edge of town, a squat brick building with a faded American flag hanging limp in the morning air. 2 patrol cars out front. Quiet. Too quiet for a place that should have been buzzing with news about Marcus's arrest. Stone killed his engine and swung off the bike. You sure about this? Razor asked. No, but I'm doing it anyway. That's what I figured. They walked through the front door together. The deputy at the front desk looked up, saw the patches, and immediately reached for his radio. Stone held up both hands. Easy, we're here to talk, that's all. Sheriff Holloway doesn't meet with, he'll meet with me. Stone kept his voice calm. Tell him it's about his cousin, Marcus. Tell him I'm the one who put Marcus in county lockup last night. The deputy's face went pale. He picked up the phone, mumbled something Stone couldn't hear, then hung up. He'll see you, but just you. Your friend stays here. Stone looked at Razor. Razor shrugged. I'll be right here, brother. Holler if you need me. Stone walked down the hallway alone. Sheriff Wade Holloway's office sat at the end of the corridor. The door was open. Inside, a man in his mid-50s sat behind a cluttered desk, a coffee cup in one hand, and a look of pure hatred on his face. So you're the one, Holloway said, the biker who stuck his nose where it didn't belong. Stone stepped inside but didn't sit down. Your cousin broke a woman's arm in front of her 7-year-old daughter. I'd say that's everybody's business. That's a family matter. Family matter? Stone laughed, but there was no humor in it. Is that what you call it? When a grown man beats a woman unconscious? When he threatens a little girl with a shotgun? That's family to you. Holloway's jaw tightened. You don't know the whole story. I know enough. I know Grace Harper is in the hospital with 2 broken bones. I know Lily Harper is going to have nightmares for the rest of her life. And I know your cousin is sitting in county lockup right now because the state police don't answer to you. Holloway stood up slowly. He was a big man, thick around the middle, but still powerful. The kind of man who was used to intimidating people. You think you're some kind of hero? You think riding in on your motorcycle makes you the good guy? He stepped closer. I know who you are, Stone. I know what the Hell's Angels do. You're no better than Marcus. Stone didn't flinch. Maybe not, but I never broke a woman's arm. I never made a child beg a stranger for help, and I never protected a man who did. They stared at each other, 2 men on opposite sides of a line neither would cross. Get out of my station, Holloway said quietly. Gladly, but I want you to understand something first. Stone leaned in close. If you try to help Marcus, if you try to intimidate Grace or Lily, if you do anything to interfere with this case, I'll know about it. And I won't come to your office to talk next time. Is that a threat? It's a promise. Stone turned and walked out. Razor was waiting exactly where he'd left him, arms crossed, watching the deputy like a hawk. How'd it go? About how you'd expect. He gonna be a problem. Stone pushed through the front door and stepped into the sunlight. Yeah, he's gonna be a problem. They rode back toward the hospital in silence. Stone's mind was racing. Holloway had power in this town. Connections. Friends in low place and high ones. If he wanted to make trouble for Grace and Lily, he had the means to do it, which meant Stone needed to be ready. His phone buzzed, a text from Doc. Grace is awake, asking for you. Stone gunned in the engine and rode faster. When he got back to the hospital, Lily was sitting in the hallway outside Grace's room. Her eyes lit up when she saw him. Stone, you came back. Told you I would. She ran to him and hugged his leg. Stone felt something crack in his chest. He wasn't used to this, wasn't used to being wanted. Mama's awake, Lily said. She's been asking about you. She wants to say thank you again. She already said thank you. She wants to say it more. That's what she told the nurse. Lily grabbed his hand and pulled. Come on, she's waiting. Stone let the little girl lead him into the room. Grace lay propped up in the hospital bed, her arm in a cast, her face bruised but alert. When she saw Stone, she smiled. There he is, my guardian angel. I'm no angel. You are to us. She gestured to the chair beside her bed. Sit, please. I need to talk to you. Stone sat. Lily climbed onto the bed beside her mother, careful not to bump the injured arm. The police were here earlier, Grace said. They told me Marcus is being held without bail. They said he might go to prison for a long time. He will. I'll make sure of it. Grace's eyes filled with tears. I don't understand. We're strangers. You don't owe us anything. Why are you doing all this? Stone was quiet for a moment. He thought about his mother, about the nights he'd spent praying for someone to save them, about the morning he'd found her body. Because I know what it's like, he said finally. Growing up in a house like that, being too small to stop it, watching someone you love get hurt and not being able to do a damn thing about it. Grace reached out and touched his hand. What happened to you? My daddy was just like Marcus, maybe worse. He beat my mama for years. I used to hide under the bed and pray for someone to come. A neighbor, a cop, anybody. Stone's voice went flat. Nobody ever came. One night he went too far. She didn't wake up the next morning. Lily's eyes went wide. Your mama died. Yeah, kid, she did. That's so sad. It was. For a long time, it was the only thing I could think about. The only thing that defined me. Stone looked at Grace. But last night when I got that message from Lily, I knew this was my chance. My chance to be the person I needed when I was her age. The person who actually shows up. Grace was crying openly now. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry that happened to you. Don't be sorry. It's not your fault. And it's not Lily's fault either. He squeezed her hand. What matters now is keeping you both safe, making sure Marcus never hurts you again. How? He's got family here. His cousin is the sheriff. Even if he goes to prison, what happens when he gets out? Stone had been thinking about that, thinking about it since he left Holloway's office. I've got some ideas, but first I need to know something. He looked her straight in the eyes. Do you want to stay in this town, or do you want to start over somewhere else? Grace hesitated. I don't know. This is the only home Lily's ever known. Her school is here, her friends. Mama, Lily's voice was small but firm. I don't want to stay here. I don't want to see Marcus ever again. Grace looked at her daughter, really looked at her, saw the fear that was still there hiding behind the brave face. Okay, she whispered. Okay, baby. We'll go somewhere new. Stone nodded. Good. I know a place, a town about 3 hours from here, small, quiet, good schools. I've got friends there who can help you get set up. Why would they help us? Because I'm going to ask them to. And when a Hell's Angel asks, people listen. Grace laughed despite herself. I never thought I'd say this, but thank God for bikers. First time for everything. The door opened. Doc stepped in, followed by Razor. Hate to interrupt, Doc said, but we've got a situation. Stone stood immediately. What kind of situation? Sheriff Holloway just pulled up outside. He's got 2 deputies with him. They're asking to speak to Grace. Stone's jaw tightened. Over my dead body. That might be the plan, Razor's voice was grim. He's claiming he needs to take an official statement. Says it's procedure. It's intimidation. He wants to scare her into dropping charges. Grace's face went pale. Can he do that? Can he force me to talk to him? No, Stone was already moving toward the door. You don't have to talk to anybody you don't want to talk to. And you definitely don't have to talk to the cousin of the man who beat you. But what if he... Stay here, lock the door after I leave. Don't open it for anyone except me, Doc, or Razor. He looked at Lily. Take care of your mama, kid. Lily nodded seriously. I will. Stone walked out of the room and headed for the lobby. Sheriff Holloway stood just inside the main entrance, his two deputies flanking him like bookends. He smiled when he saw Stone. Well, the hero returns. You're not welcome here, Holloway. This is a public hospital. I can go wherever I want. Not to Grace Harper's room. She's a victim. Your cousin is the perpetrator. You've got a conflict of interest a mile wide. Holloway's smile didn't waver. I'm not here as his cousin. I'm here as the sheriff of this county conducting an official investigation. The state police are handling the investigation. They made that clear last night. Doesn't mean I can't gather my own information. Make sure the full story comes out. Holloway stepped closer, lowering his voice. See the way I hear it, Grace has a history of exaggerating. Making up stories, getting hysterical over nothing. Stone's hands curled into fists. Is that right? That's right, and I've got witnesses who will say Marcus was just defending himself, that Grace came at him first, that everything that happened was self-defense. She's got a broken arm in 2 places. He's got a scratch on his knuckle. That's not self-defense. That's assault. That's one interpretation. There are others. Holloway glanced past Stone toward the hallway. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to speak to the victim. Stone didn't move. No. Excuse me. I said no. You're not going near her. You're not going near her daughter. You're not going to intimidate them or threaten them or do any of the things you came here to do. And who's going to stop me? You. If I have to. They stood face to face, neither backing down. The deputies shifted nervously, hands hovering near their weapons. You're making a big mistake, Holloway said quietly. This isn't your town. These aren't your people. You're an outsider, and outsiders don't last long when they make enemies of the wrong folks. Is that a threat? It's advice, free advice. Take it or leave it. Stone leaned in close, so close he could smell the coffee on Holloway's breath. Let me give you some advice in return. I've been to prison. I've been shot. I've buried more friends than you've got deputies. There's nothing you can do to me that hasn't already been done. But those two in that room, they've got a chance at a real life, a good life. And I'm not going to let you take that away from them. You're willing to throw away everything for strangers. They're not strangers anymore. Holloway studied him for a long moment. Something flickered in his eyes. Not fear exactly, but caution, recalculation. This isn't over, he said finally. No, it's not. Holloway turned and walked out, his deputies trailing behind him. Stone watched until the patrol car disappeared from the parking lot, then let out a breath he didn't know he had been holding. Razor appeared beside him. That was intense. That was round 1. There's going to be more. What do you want to do? Stone thought about Grace's question, about what happens when Marcus gets out, about Holloway and his connections and all the ways he could make their lives hell. We need to get them out of this town, tonight if possible, somewhere Holloway can't reach. I know a place. So do I. Same place. Razor nodded. Cedar Falls. My sister's there. She runs a women's shelter. Helps people exactly like Grace and Lily. That's what I was thinking. Great minds, Razor clapped him on the shoulder. I'll make some calls, start setting things up. Thanks, brother. Stone walked back to Grace's room. When he knocked, Lily's voice came through the door. Who is it? It's Stone. The lock clicked open. Lily stood there, her small face fierce with determination. Is he gone, the bad sheriff? He's gone. For now. Grace was sitting up in bed, her good hand pressed against her chest. What happened? What did he want? What I thought he wanted: to intimidate you, to get you to drop the charges. I'm not going to do that. Good, but it means you need to get out of this town. Fast. Stone pulled the chair closer to the bed. I know a place. Cedar Falls. It's about 3 hours from here. There's a women's shelter there run by a friend of ours. She helps people start over. New jobs, new housing, new everything. Grace's eyes widened. You want us to just leave everything? What's everything? A house full of bad memories? A town where the sheriff protects abusers? Stone shook his head. That's not everything, Grace. That's nothing. Everything is you and Lily being safe, being happy, being free. Grace looked at her daughter. Lily was watching Stone like he'd hung the moon. Mama, I want to go, Lily said. I want to start over with Stone. Stone's heart stumbled. Kid, I know you can't stay with us forever. I know you've got your own life. Lily's voice was surprisingly mature for a 7-year-old. But you could visit, right? You could come see us sometimes. Stone didn't know what to say. He'd spent his whole life running from attachment, from responsibility, from anything that might tie him down. But looking at this little girl, this brave, beautiful little girl who'd reached out to a stranger in the dark, he couldn't imagine walking away. Yeah, he said, I could visit. Lily smiled. It was like watching the sun come out after a storm. Then let's go, Mama. Let's go to Cedar Falls. Grace was quiet for a long moment. Stone could see the fear in her eyes, the uncertainty. Leaving everything she knew was terrifying, even if everything she knew was terrible. But there was something else there too, something he recognized. Hope. Okay, she said finally. Let's do it. The next few hours moved fast. Doc arranged for Grace's early discharge, signing off on the paperwork and making sure she had all the medications she needed. Razor's sister, a woman named Beth, called to confirm that a room was waiting for them at the shelter. Stone made arrangements of his own. He called in favors, pulled strings, made sure that when Grace and Lily arrived in Cedar Falls, they'd have everything they needed to start fresh. By late afternoon, they were ready to go. Stone had borrowed a truck from one of the brothers, easier for Grace to ride in than a motorcycle. He loaded their few belongings in the back, a suitcase of clothes, some toys for Lily, a box of photos that Grace had insisted on bringing. It's not much, Grace said, watching him work. Our whole life in a truck bed. It's enough. The rest is just stuff. You can get new stuff. You really believe that? Stone closed the tailgate and turned to face her. I believe you can build a life anywhere, that as long as you've got the right people around you. And you've got Lily. That's more than most people have. Grace's eyes glistened. What about you? What do you have? Stone thought about the question. For most of his life, the answer would have been simple nothing. He had nothing and wanted nothing, just the road and his bike and the silence between destinations. But now, I've got my brothers, he said, and now I've got you two. Grace reached out and took his hand. Thank you for everything. I don't know how I'll ever repay you. You don't have to repay me. Just live a good life. That's payment enough. Lily came running out of the hospital, a stuffed bear clutched in her arms. One of the nurses had given it to her. I'm ready. Let's go. Stone lifted her into the truck, making sure her seatbelt was secure. Then he helped Grace into the passenger seat, careful not to jostle her arm. Comfortable as I'm going to be. He climbed into the driver's seat and started the engine. In the rearview mirror, he could see Razor on his bike, ready to follow. Doc was staying behind to tie up loose ends. Ready? Stone asked. Lily bounced in her seat. Ready. Grace took a deep breath. Ready. Stone pulled out of the hospital parking lot and headed for the highway. The first hour passed in silence. Grace fell asleep almost immediately, exhausted from the surgery and the stress. Lily stayed awake, watching the countryside roll by with wide, curious eyes. Stone, yeah, kid. Can I ask you something? Sure. Do you have any kids? Stone's hands tightened on the wheel. No, I don't. Did you ever want any? The question hit harder than it should have. Stone thought about the life he might have lived if things had been different. If his mother had survived. If his father had been a different man. If he'd learned to trust, to love, to build something instead of always running. I don't know, he said honestly. I never thought I'd be any good at it. I think you'd be a good dad. Stone glanced in the rearview mirror. Lily was looking at him with that serious, knowing expression that seemed too old for her face. Why do you say that? Because you came. When I texted, you came. A good dad would do that. A good dad would come. Stone couldn't speak. Something was stuck in his throat, thick and painful. I'm not your dad, Lily. I know, but maybe you could be something. She fidgeted with her stuffed bear. I never had a grandpa. Marcus was supposed to be like a dad, but he was bad. You're not bad, Stone. You're good. I'm not. You are. You just don't know it yet. Stone drove in silence, letting her words sink in. He'd spent 52 years believing he was damaged, broken, unfit for anything except violence and solitude. But this little girl, this 7-year-old who barely knew him, saw something different, saw something he couldn't see in himself. Maybe that was what redemption looked like. Not a sudden transformation, but a slow opening, a gradual realization that the person you thought you were wasn't the person you had to be. They stopped for gas an hour from Cedar Falls. While the tank filled, Stone went inside to buy snacks. When he came back out, he froze. A sheriff's patrol car was parked behind the truck. Stone's hand went to his side, an instinct born from decades of trouble. But he forced himself to stay calm, walked slowly, didn't make any sudden moves. The deputy was young, early 20s. He was standing by the driver's side door, looking at the license plate. Help you with something? Stone asked. The deputy looked up. His eyes went to Stone's vest, to the Hells Angels patch. Something flickered across his face, fear, respect, or maybe both. Just running plates, making sure everything's in order. Everything's in order. We're just passing through. Where you headed? None of your business. The deputy's jaw tightened. I could make it my business. You could try. They stared at each other. Stone didn't blink, didn't move, just stood there, radiating the kind of quiet menace that came from a lifetime of fighting. The deputy broke first. Have a safe trip, he muttered, and walked back to his patrol car. Stone watched him drive away, then climbed into the truck. Grace was awake now, her face pale. What was that about? Holloway. He's tracking sis. How saw probably put out a bulletin, asked his friends in neighboring counties to keep an eye out for this truck. Stone checked the mirrors. Razor was still behind them, solid as a rock. It's okay. He can't do anything. We're not breaking any laws. But he knows where we're going. He might guess. Doesn't mean he can stop us. Grace's hand found his on the gear shift. I'm scared, Stone. I know, but we're almost there. Just one more hour. They drove the rest of the way in tense silence. Stone kept checking the mirrors, watching for flashing lights, waiting for the next obstacle. But the road stayed clear. As the sun began to set, they passed a sign, Cedar Falls. Population 3,200. We're here, Stone said. Lily pressed her face against the window. It's pretty. Look, Mama, there's a lake. Grace smiled despite her fear. It is pretty, baby. The women's shelter sat on the edge of town, a converted farmhouse surrounded by tall fences and security cameras. Stone pulled up to the gate and waited. A woman emerged from the main building, tall, gray-haired, with kind eyes and strong hands. Razor's sister, Beth. You must be Stone, she said, approaching the truck. Razor's told me all about you. All bad things, I hope. The worst, she smiled. And you must be Grace. And this little angel must be Lily. Lily beamed. I like her, Mama. Beth opened the gate. Come on in. Let's get you settled. The shelter was warm and welcoming. Other women and children were there, survivors of similar stories, similar nightmares. They greeted Grace and Lily with understanding, with compassion, with the kind of solidarity that only comes from shared pain. Stone watched from the doorway as Beth showed them to their room. A small space, but clean, safe. A fresh start. Lily turned and ran back to him. She threw her arms around his waist. Thank you, Stone. Thank you for bringing us here. Stone hugged her back. Thank you for being brave enough to send that message. Will you come visit? You promised. I promised, and I keep my promises. Lily looked up at him with those serious eyes. I believe you. Grace approached more slowly. She stood in front of Stone, searching for words. I don't know what to say. You've given us everything. A second chance. A new life. I can't. You don't have to say anything. Stone reached out and touched her shoulder. Just live it. That's all I ask. Grace nodded, tears streaming down her face. I will, I swear I will. Stone walked back to the truck. Razor was waiting at his bike, idling. You good brother, Stone looked back at the shelter. Through the window, he could see Lily arranging her stuffed animals on the bed. Grace was watching her daughter with a smile, a real smile, maybe the first one in years. Yeah, Stone said. I'm good. What now? Stone climbed onto his own bike. Razor had brought it in the back of a brother's van. Now we go home, and we wait. Wait for what? Stone's eyes hardened. For Holloway to make his next move. Because men like him, they never let things go. They never accept defeat. And when he moves, Stone kicked his bike to life. We finish it. 2 weeks passed. Stone tried to go back to his normal life. It didn't work. Every morning he woke up thinking about Lily. Every night he fell asleep wondering if Grace was okay. He'd check his phone a dozen times a day, waiting for a message, a call, anything. Razor noticed. Of course he noticed. You're distracted, brother. They were sitting in the clubhouse, the usual Thursday night gathering going on around them. Stone hadn't touched his beer. I'm fine. You're not fine. You've been staring at that phone like it owes you money. Razor pulled up a chair. Just call them. I don't want to bother them. They're starting over. They don't need me hovering. Did Lily ask you to visit? Yeah. Did you promise you would? Yeah. Then you're not hovering. You're keeping your word. Razor leaned back. Stone, I've known you for 23 years. I've never seen you like this. You actually care about these people. Is that so strange? For you? Yeah, it is. Stone didn't have an answer for that because Razor was right. He'd spent his whole life keeping people at a distance, building walls, staying safe. And now in the span of one night, a little girl had torn all those walls down. His phone buzzed. Stone grabbed it so fast he nearly dropped it. A text from Beth. You should come. Something's wrong with Grace. She won't talk to anyone. Stone was on his feet before he finished reading. I gotta go. I know. Razor was already reaching for his keys. I'm coming with you. They rode through the night, pushing the bikes as fast as they dared. 3 hours felt like 30. Stone's mind raced with possibilities, each one worse than the last. Had Holloway found them? Had Marcus somehow gotten out? Was Lily okay by the time they pulled up to the shelter? It was nearly midnight. Beth was waiting at the gate, her face drawn with worry. What happened? Stone demanded. I don't know exactly. Grace got a phone call this afternoon. She wouldn't tell me who it was. After that, she locked herself in her room. Won't eat, won't talk. Lily's been trying to get through to her for hours. Stone's blood ran cold. Where's Lily now? In the common room, one of the other women is watching her. Take me to Grace. Beth led him through the shelter to Grace's room. Stone knocked softly. Grace, it's Stone. Can I come in? Silence. Grace, please. Whatever happened, we can fix it. But you have to let me in. More silence. Then slowly the lock clicked open. Stone pushed the door open and stepped inside. Grace was sitting on the bed, her knees pulled to her chest, her face streaked with tears. She looked up at him with hollow eyes. He's getting out. Stone's heart stopped. What? Marcus, he made bail. His lawyer called me this afternoon. Said they got a judge to reduce the charges. Said Marcus is getting out tomorrow morning. Stone felt the rage build in his chest like a furnace. That's impossible. State police had him. The evidence was solid. His cousin, Holloway, he pulled strings, got witnesses to change their stories. Got the medical reports discredited somehow. I don't know. Grace's voice cracked. He's getting out, Stone, and he knows where we are. How does he know? Grace's face crumpled. His lawyer told me, said Marcus wanted me to know. Said he's coming for us, for me and Lily. Said he's going to make us pay for what we did to him. Stone crossed the room in 2 strides and knelt in front of her. He took her hands in his. Listen to me. He's not going to touch you. Either of you. I won't let that happen. How can you stop him? He's got the sheriff on his side. He's got lawyers' money connections. What do we have? You have me. You have my brothers. You have people who will fight for you. It's not enough, Grace shook her head. I thought we were safe here. I thought we could start over. But he's never going to let us go. He's going to hunt us down, and he's going to... Stop. Stone's voice was firm but gentle. I need you to breathe. Can you do that for me? Just breathe. Grace took a shaky breath, then another. Some of the panic faded from her eyes. Good. Now listen. Tomorrow morning I'm going to make some calls. I know people who can help. We're going to figure this out. What if there's nothing to figure out? What if he finds us before... He won't. I'll be right here all night. Nothing's going to happen to you or Lily while I'm here. Grace looked at him for a long moment. Then she broke. She fell into his arms, sobbing against his chest, all the fear and pain of the past weeks pouring out of her. Stone held her awkward at first, then tighter. He didn't know what else to do, didn't know how to fix this. All he could do was be there. When Grace finally pulled back, her eyes were red but clearer. I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. I shouldn't be falling apart like this. You're allowed to fall apart. After everything you've been through, you're allowed. But Lily is strong, stronger than she should have to be, but she needs her mama to be strong too. Can you do that? Grace wiped her eyes. I don't know, I'll try. That's all I'm asking. There was a soft knock at the door. Lily's voice came through. Mama Stone, can I come in? Grace looked at Stone. He nodded. Come in, baby. Lily pushed the door open. She was clutching her stuffed bear, the one the nurse had given her. When she saw Stone, her face lit up. You came. Beth said you were coming, but I wasn't sure. I told you I'd come when you needed me. You need me. Lily ran to him and wrapped her arms around his neck. Stone hugged her back, feeling that crack in his chest widen. Mama's scared, Lily whispered. I tried to help, but she won't stop crying. I know, kid, but we're going to fix it. All of us together. Promise. Stone looked at Grace over Lily's shoulder, saw the fear still lingering in her eyes, saw the hope fighting to break through. Promise, Afus. That night, Stone slept on the floor outside Grace's room. He didn't trust the locks, didn't trust the fences, didn't trust anything except his own presence. Razor took the first watch, walking the perimeter every hour, checking the cameras, making sure nothing was out of place. By morning, Stone had a plan. He made 3 phone calls. The first was to Doc. I need everything you can find on Sheriff Wade Holloway, every dirty deal, every buried complaint, every skeleton in his closet. That's a tall order, brother. I know, but if anyone can do it, it's you. Give me 48 hours. The second call was to a lawyer named Reynolds. Not the cop different guy, an old friend from Stone's past who owed him several favors. Marcus Dean is getting released on reduced charges. I need to know how to stop him. Legally, however, it needs to happen. Reynolds was quiet for a moment. There might be a way, if we can prove the judge was influenced, if we can show corruption in the bail process, we could get it reversed. But I'd need evidence. What kind of evidence? Communications between Holloway and the judge. Witness statements showing coercion, anything that proves the fix was in. I'll get it. Stone, be careful. These people play rough. So do I. The third call was the hardest. He dialed a number he hadn't used in 15 years. Hello. Tommy, it's Stone. Silence on the other end. Then Stone as in Colt Brennan. The hell are you calling me for? I need your help. Tommy Malone was a retired FBI agent. He and Stone had history, the complicated kind that involved guns, money, and a mutual agreement to never speak again. You've got some nerve calling after all this time. I know, but this isn't about me. It's about a woman and a little girl who are going to die if someone doesn't step in. Another long pause. I'm listening. Stone told him everything. The text message, the rescue, Marcus and Holloway, the threats, the corrupt judge. When he finished, Tommy let out a low whistle. That's a hell of a story. It's the truth. I believe you. Holloway's been on our radar for years. We just never had enough to move on him. What if I could get you enough? What exactly are you proposing? Stone took a deep breath. I'm proposing we take down a sheriff. The plan came together over the next 2 days. Doc delivered first. He'd dug up years of complaints against Holloway domestic abuse calls that were never investigated, DUI arrests that mysteriously disappeared, accusations of bribery that went nowhere. Pattern after pattern of a man who used his badge to protect himself and his family. It's not a smoking gun, Doc admitted, but it's a picture. A very ugly picture. It's a start. Reynolds came through next. He found a clerk in the courthouse who was willing to talk off the record about the pressure they'd faced to reduce Marcus's charges. Judge Morrison got a call the morning of the hearing. Right after that, everything changed. The clerk says Morrison looked scared, like someone had threatened him. Can we get the clerk to testify? Maybe, if we can guarantee protection. I'll guarantee it. Tommy was the final piece. He agreed to open an informal investigation gathering evidence that could be used to build a federal case against Holloway. But I need time, Tommy warned. Weeks, maybe months. Can your people stay safe that long? Stone looked out the window of the shelter. Lily was playing in the yard, chasing butterflies, laughing like a normal kid for the first time since he'd met her. They'll stay safe, I'll make sure of it. But Marcus wasn't going to wait weeks or months. The call came 3 days later. Stone's phone rang at 2 a.m. Stone! It was Beth. Her voice was shaking. Someone's here, outside the fence. A truck. They've been circling for an hour. Stone was already grabbing his jacket. I'm on my way. Lock everything down, wake the women, get everyone to the safe room. What about just do it? I'll be there in 20 minutes. He made it in 15. The truck was still there when he arrived. A blue pickup. The same one from Marcus's driveway. Stone killed his lights and coasted to a stop 100 yards away. Razor was already there, hidden in the shadows near the fence. He's alone, Razor whispered. Been sitting there watching. Hasn't made a move. He's testing us, seeing how we respond. What do we do? Stone thought about it. He could confront Marcus now, end this before it escalated. But that's exactly what Marcus wanted. A confrontation. A fight. Something he could use to paint Stone as the aggressor. We wait, let him make the first move. And if his first move is, the truck's engine roared to life, headlights flared. For a moment, Stone thought Marcus was going to ram the fence. Instead, the truck peeled away tires, screaming on the pavement, disappearing into the night. Stone let out a breath. He's sending a message. What message? That he knows where they are, that he can get to them whenever he wants. Razor's jaw tightened. So what do we do? Stone stared at the empty road, at the darkness Marcus had vanished into. We send a message back. The next morning, Stone rode into town alone. He found Marcus at the local diner sitting in a corner booth, eating breakfast like he didn't have a care in the world. When he saw Stone walk in, he smiled. Well, the hero himself, have a seat. Stone didn't sit. He stood over Marcus, blocking the light. Last night was a mistake. I was just out for a drive, enjoying the fresh air. You were surveilling a women's shelter, terrorizing the people inside. That's a strong accusation. You got proof. Stone leaned in close. I don't need proof. I just need you to understand something. If you go near that shelter again, if you go near Grace or Lily, if you even think about hurting them, I will end you. Marcus's smile didn't waver. You threatening me in public with witnesses. I'm not threatening, I'm promising. Same as I promised that little girl I'd come when she needed me. Stone straightened. And Marcus, I keep my promises. He turned and walked out. Behind him, Marcus's smile finally faded. The war had begun. Over the next week, the attacks escalated. First, Grace's car was vandalized. Tires slashed, windows smashed. No witnesses, no proof. Then someone made anonymous calls to Child Protective Services claiming Grace was an unfit mother. Beth had to spend 2 days fighting off investigators. Finally, Lily's school, the new one she just started attending, received threats. The principal called Grace in a panic. Someone saying they were going to hurt the children. We had to put the whole school on lockdown. Grace called Stone, barely able to speak through her tears. He's never going to stop. He's going to torment us until we break. Stone's hands were shaking, not with fear, with rage. I'm ending this. How you can't just, I know exactly what I can do, and I'm going to do it. That night, Stone called a meeting, the full chapter, Razor Doc and 15 other men who'd ridden through hell with him. You all know the situation. A mother and her daughter are being terrorized by a man who should be in prison. The law won't help. The sheriff is dirty. The judge is bought. Nobody's coming to save them. He looked around the room at the faces of his brothers, men who'd done things, seen things, survived things. I'm not asking you to break the law. I'm asking you to help me shine a light on people who've been hiding in the dark. Can I count on you? Razor stood you first. You know you can, brother. Doc rose next. I'm in. One by one, and they all stood. 15 men ready to ride. Stone nodded. Then let's go to work. The operation took 3 nights. First, they gathered evidence, phone records, bank statements, photographs of Holloway meeting with known criminals. Doc had contacts everywhere, courthouse clerks, disgruntled deputies, civilians who'd been wronged by the sheriff and were too scared to speak up alone. Second, and they documented everything. Times, dates, locations. A paper trail that even a federal prosecutor couldn't ignore. Third, they delivered the package. Tommy Malone met Stone in a parking lot outside of a town. Stone handed him a thick envelope. Everything you need. Holloway's dirty deals, the judge's connection, proof that Marcus's release was bought and paid for. Tommy flipped through the documents, his eyebrows climbing higher with each page. This is incredible. Where did you get all this? Does it matter legally? No. Practically? Tommy smiled. I'm just impressed. Will it be enough? Enough to arrest Holloway? Not yet, but enough to launch a full investigation? Absolutely. Tommy tucked the envelope under his arm. I need a few more days. Then we move. Marcus won't wait a few more days. Then you'll have to hold him off. Stone nodded grimly. That's the plan. 2 nights later, Marcus made his move. Stone was at the shelter when his phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Meet me at the old mill. Alone 1 hour, or I burn this place to the ground with everyone inside. Stone stared at the message. His blood went cold, then hot. He showed the phone to Razor. He's forcing a confrontation. It's a trap. I know. You can't go alone. I have to. If I don't, he'll do exactly what he said. He's got nothing left to lose. Razor grabbed his arm. Stone, think about this. The feds are moving in days. Just a few more days and this is over. Grace and Lily don't have a few more days. If I don't show up, he'll come here, and I won't let that happen. Stone pulled free and walked toward his bike. Stone, he stopped, turned. Razor stood in the doorway, conflict written all over his face. Don't die. Lily would never forgive you. Stone smiled despite everything. I don't plan on it. He rode toward the old mill. Marcus was waiting. He stood in the center of the empty building, a gas can at his feet, a gun in his hand. Didn't think you'd actually come. Stone stopped 10 feet away. You threaten people I care about. Of course I came. Care about? Marcus laughed. You've known them for what, 3 weeks? You're really willing to die for strangers. They're not strangers, not anymore. Touching, really touching. Marcus raised the gun. Here's how this is going to go. You're going to turn around and ride out of town. You're going to forget Grace, forget Lily, forget any of this ever happened. And if I don't what, you'll shoot me. That's the idea. Stone didn't move, didn't flinch. Go ahead. Marcus blinked. What? Go ahead, shoot me, pull that trigger. Stone took a step forward, but ask yourself something first. Even if you kill me, do you really think you're walking out of here? My brothers know where I am. The feds are building a case against your cousin. You're not escaping this, Marcus. You're just delaying the inevitable. You're bluffing. Not am I bomb? Another step. In 48 hours, Sheriff Holloway is going to be arrested for corruption. The judge who reduced your bail is going to be investigated. And you're going back to prison. This time for good. Marcus's hand trembled. You're lying. I'm not. And somewhere deep down you know it. Stone was close now, close enough to see the fear in Marcus's eyes. You've got 2 choices. You can pull that trigger and spend the rest of your life running. Or you can put the gun down and take what's coming to you like a man. For a long, terrible moment, nothing moved. Then Marcus lowered the gun. I never meant to hurt her, he said quietly. Grace, I never meant for it to get this bad. But it did. And now you have to pay for it. Sirens wailed in the distance, getting closer. Stone hadn't come alone after all. Razor had called the state police the moment he'd left. Marcus looked at him with something like respect. You played me. I kept my promise. That's all. The police arrived. Marcus surrendered without a fight. This time there would be no friendly judge, no corrupt sheriff to pull strings. This time justice would be served. Stone watched them load Marcus into the patrol car, watched the lights disappear into the night. It was over, or at least part of it was. His phone buzzed, a text from Lily. "Are you okay? Beth said you left. Are you coming back?" Stone smiled as he typed his response. "I'm coming back. Everything's okay now." Promise. He looked at the stars above, at the road ahead, at all the miles he'd traveled to get to this moment. Promise. Stone rode back to the shelter as the first light of dawn broke across the sky. His hands were steady on the handlebars, but his mind was racing. Marcus was in custody. The threat was neutralized. For the first time in weeks, he could breathe, but something else was happening inside him, something he hadn't expected. He was scared. Not of Marcus, not of Holloway, not of any external threat. He was scared of what came next, of the feelings he'd been pushing down since the night he kicked in that door, of the way his heart jumped every time Lily smiled at him, of the way Grace looked at him like he was something more than a broken-down biker with too many scars. Razor was waiting at the gate when he pulled up. "It's done. It's done. Marcus is in state custody. No bail this time." In Holloway. "Tommy's moving on him tomorrow. Federal warrant." Razor nodded slowly. "So it's over. The danger is over. The rest..." Stone cut the engine and sat there for a moment staring at the shelter. "The rest is just beginning." "You mean Grace and Lily?" "I mean everything." Razor put a hand on his shoulder. "Brother, I've watched you run from good things your whole life. Don't run from this one." Stone didn't answer. He just walked toward the building. Lily was waiting in the common room. The moment she saw him, she launched herself off the couch and sprinted across the floor. "Stone, you're back. Beth said there was trouble, but you'd be okay, and I believed her. But I was still scared, and Mama was crying again, and..." Stone knelt down and caught her in his arms. Hey, slow down. I'm here. I'm fine." "You promise you're fine?" "I promise." Lily pulled back and studied his face with those serious eyes. "You look tired." "I am tired." "Then you should sleep. Mama says sleep makes everything better." "Your mama's a smart woman." "I know." Lily grabbed his hand. "Come on. She's waiting for you." Stone let the little girl lead him down the hallway. His boots felt heavy. His body ached. But when Grace opened the door to her room and he saw the relief flood her face, all of that faded away. "You're okay." Her voice cracked. "Thank God you're okay." "I told you I would be." Grace crossed the room and wrapped her arms around him. Stone stood frozen for a moment, unsure what to do. Then slowly he hugged her back. "Marcus is in custody," he said quietly. "State police have him. He's not getting out this time." Grace's body shook with silent sobs. How did you..." "It doesn't matter how. What matters is you're safe, both of you." Lily tugged on his jacket. "Does this mean we can stop being scared now?" Stone looked down at her, at this brave, beautiful little girl who'd been through more in 7 years than most people faced in a lifetime. "Yeah, kid, you can stop being scared." Lily smiled, then she yawned. "Okay, I'm going to sleep now. Stone, you should sleep too." "I will." "Promise?" "Promise." Lily hugged them both, then wandered off to her bed in the corner. Within minutes, she was out cold, clutching her stuffed bear. Grace wiped her eyes. "I don't know how to thank you. I keep saying that, but it's true. You've done so much for us." "You don't have to thank me." "Yes, I do. Because nobody else came. Nobody else cared. Just you." She took his hand. "Stone, I need to tell you something." His heart rate spiked. "What is it?" Grace hesitated. Something shifted in her eyes. Fear, uncertainty, hope. "I'm falling for you." The words hit him like a punch to the chest. "Grace, I know it's crazy. I know we barely know each other. I know you probably don't feel the same way. But I had to say it, because if the last few weeks have taught me anything, it's that life is too short to hide from the truth." Stone didn't know what to say. His mind was blank. His heart was pounding. He'd spent 52 years building walls, convincing himself he didn't deserve love, didn't deserve happiness, didn't deserve anything but the road and the silence between destinations. But standing here looking into Grace's eyes, he felt those walls crumbling. "I don't know how to do this," he said finally. "I've never been good at this." At what? Caring about people, letting them in, staying. Grace squeezed his hand. Nobody's asking you to be perfect, Stone. I'm certainly not perfect. I stayed with Marcus for 8 months. I let him hurt me, hurt Lily because I was too scared to leave. That wasn't your fault. Maybe not, but it was my choice. Just like this is my choice. She stepped closer. I'm choosing to trust you, to let you in, even though it terrifies me. Stone looked at her, really looked. At the bruises still fading on her face, at the cast on her arm, at the strength in her eyes that refused to die no matter how hard Marcus had tried to kill it. I'm scared too, he admitted. I've been scared since the night I got that message from Lily. Scared of what? Of this, of you, of feeling something I haven't felt in decades. He took a deep breath. I care about you, Grace, both of you, more than I know how to handle. Grace smiled through her tears. Then we'll figure it out together. She leaned up and kissed him. It was soft, gentle, nothing like Stone expected, but it cracked something open inside him that had been sealed shut for 30 years. When they pulled apart, Grace was still smiling. Get some sleep, she whispered. We'll talk more tomorrow. Stone nodded. He walked to the door, then stopped. Grace, yeah. I'm glad Lily texted the wrong number. Grace laughed, a real laugh, the first one he'd heard from her. Me too, Stone. Me too. He slept for 12 hours straight, the deepest, most peaceful sleep he'd had in years. When he woke up, everything had changed. Tommy called at noon. We got him. Holloway's in federal custody. Arrested this morning at his home. Stone sat up still groggy. Charges: conspiracy to obstruct justice, bribery, witness tampering. And that's just the beginning. We're finding more every hour. What about the Judge Morrison? Being questioned as we speak. He's already cooperating. Turns out he's been terrified of Holloway for years. Once he realized we could actually protect him, he started talking. Stone let out a breath. So it's really over. The investigation isn't over. There's going to be trials hearings, a whole mess of legal proceedings. But as far as Grace and Lily are concerned, yeah, it's over. Marcus isn't getting out. Holloway can't protect him anymore. They're safe. Thank you, Tommy. I know this wasn't easy for you. Tommy was quiet for a moment. You know, when you called me, I almost hung up. We didn't exactly part on good terms. I remember. But then you told me about that little girl, about the message she sent to the wrong number, and I thought maybe some things are bigger than old grudges. Maybe they are. Take care of yourself, Stone, and take care of them. I will. Stone hung up and walked to the window. Outside, Lily was playing in the yard with some of the other children. Running, laughing, being a kid. He watched her for a long time. Razor found him there an hour later. You look like a man with a lot on his mind. I've got a question for you. Shoot. Stone turned to face his oldest friend. How do you know when you're ready to stop running? Razor leaned against the wall, considering the question. I don't think you ever know. Not for sure. You just decide. One day you wake up and you decide that what's in front of you is worth more than whatever you're running from. What if you mess it up? You will mess it up. That's part of it. Razor shrugged. The question isn't whether you'll make mistakes. The question is whether you'll stick around to fix them. Stone nodded slowly. When did you get so wise? I've always been wise. You just never listened. Stone laughed. It felt strange. Good, but strange. I'm staying, he said, here, with them. Razor smiled. I know, brother. I've known since the moment you kicked down that door. The next few days were a blur of activity. Grace was discharged from best care, her arm healing well, her spirits higher than Stone had ever seen them. They found a small apartment in Cedar Falls, 2 bedrooms, nothing fancy but clean and safe. Stone helped them move in. He assembled furniture. He fixed a leaky faucet. He hung pictures on the walls. Normal things, domestic things, things he'd never imagined himself doing. Lily was in heaven. Stone, look. My room has a window. I can see the trees. That's great, kid. And Mama says I can paint the walls whatever color I want. I'm thinking purple or maybe blue, or maybe purple and blue. Sounds perfect. Lily grabbed his hand. Will you help me pick out the paint? Stone looked at Grace. She was smiling at him with that soft, knowing expression. Yeah, he said. I'll help. They went to the hardware store that afternoon. Lily spent an hour comparing color swatches, asking Stone's opinion on every shade. What about this one? It's called Sunset Dream. Isn't that pretty? It's orange. It's sunset. That's different. If you say so. Grace laughed, watching them bicker like father and daughter. Something warm spread through her chest, something that felt dangerously like hope. They settled on a color called lavender mist. Lily insisted it was the perfect balance between purple and blue. On the way home, Lily fell asleep in the back seat, clutching her paint sample like a treasure. Grace reached over and took Stone's hand. Thank you. For what? For this, for being here, for being you. Stone glanced at her. I'm not doing anything special. Yes, you are. You're staying for us. Grace squeezed his hand. That's everything. They drove in comfortable silence, the radio playing softly, Lily snoring in the back. It felt like a beginning. 3 weeks later, the trial date was set. Marcus Dean would face charges of assault, domestic violence, child endangerment, and threatening with a firearm. The prosecutor was confident they had an airtight case. Stone drove Grace to the pretrial hearing. She was nervous, her hands shaking as they walked into the courthouse. What if they don't believe me? What if they think I'm making it up? They won't. The evidence is solid. The medical reports, the police testimony, everything Tommy gathered. Marcus doesn't have a leg to stand on. But he's going to be there, in that room, looking at me. Stone stopped walking. He turned Grace to face him. Listen to me. You are the bravest woman I've ever known. You survived 8 months of hell. You protected your daughter. You reached out for help when most people would have given up. Nothing Marcus says or does in that courtroom can take that away from you. Grace's eyes filled with tears. What if I freeze up? What if I can't? Then I'll be right there in the front row, and every time you feel scared, you look at me. You remember who you are. You remember what you've survived. Grace nodded, drew a deep breath. Okay, I can do this. I know you can. The hearing was brutal. Marcus's new lawyer, a slick man in an expensive suit, tried every trick in the book. He questioned Grace's credibility. He implied she was exaggerating. He suggested that her relationship with Stone proved she'd been unfaithful, that Marcus had just been a jealous man pushed to his breaking point. Stone watched from the front row, his hands clenched into fists. Grace kept her composure. Every time she wavered, she looked at Stone, drew strength from his steady gaze. When the prosecutor showed photos of her injuries, the broken arm, the bruises, the medical records, the defense lawyer tried to object. The judge overruled him. When Lily's recorded testimony was played, her small voice describing what she'd witnessed, what she'd heard, how scared she'd been, the courtroom went silent. Marcus stared straight ahead, his face unreadable. When it was over, the judge announced that the case would proceed to trial. No plea bargain, no reduced charges. Marcus was taken away in handcuffs. He didn't look at Grace, didn't look at anyone. Outside the courthouse, Grace broke down. Stone caught her, held her while she sobbed. I did it. I really did it. You did it. He's going to prison, isn't he? For a long time. Grace pulled back, wiping her eyes. I want to see Lily. I need to see her right now. They drove to the shelter where Beth was watching Lily. The moment they walked in, Lily ran to her mother. Mama, how did it go? Did the judge believe you? Grace knelt down and hugged her daughter tight. He believed me, baby. Everything's going to be okay. Is Marcus going to jail? Yes, for a long, long time. Lily looked at Stone over her mother's shoulder. You helped, didn't you? Stone smiled. Your mama did all the hard work. I just drove. Nuh-uh. You're being modest. Lily wiggled free from Grace and walked up to Stone. Beth says modest means pretending you are not as awesome as you really are. Beth talks too much. She says you talk too little. Stone laughed. She's probably right. Lily hugged his leg. Thank you, Stone, for making Mama safe, for making me safe. Stone's throat tightened. He put a hand on her head. Always, kid. Always. That night they celebrated, nothing fancy, pizza and ice cream in Grace's new apartment, but to Stone it felt like the grandest meal of his life. Lily talked nonstop about school, about her new friends, about the painting project she'd started in art class. Grace watched them both with quiet joy. After Lily fell asleep on the couch, Stone and Grace sat on the small balcony, watching the stars. "I've been thinking," Grace said. "About what? About what comes next, for us." Stone was quiet for a moment. "What do you want to come next?" "I want to heal. I want to build a life here for me and Lily. I want to wake up every morning without being afraid." She turned to look at him. "And I want you to be part of it, if you want to." Stone thought about his garage back home, his empty house, the life he'd lived for 52 years. Then he thought about Lily's laughter, Grace's smile, the feeling of being needed, of being wanted for the first time in decades. "I wanted to," he said, "more than I've ever wanted anything." Grace took his hand, "Then stay." "For how long?" "For as long as you can." Stone looked at her, at this woman who'd been through hell and come out the other side, at this woman who trusted him despite everything she'd learned about men. "I'm not good at this," he warned. "I'll make mistakes. I'll probably drive you crazy." "I'm counting on it." He kissed her. Longer this time. Deeper. When they pulled apart, Grace was laughing. "What? I just realized something." That night, when Lily sent that message, she was trying to reach the church helpline. The number she was supposed to call was 555-0147. She typed 555-0174. Stone stared at her. She transposed 2 digits. 2 digits. That's all it took to send the message to you instead of a helpline. Grace shook her head in wonder. If she'd typed it right, someone would have sent this police, maybe social services. They might have helped, might not have, but she typed it wrong and she got you. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying maybe it wasn't wrong at all. Maybe it was exactly right." Grace squeezed his hand. Maybe some things are meant to be. Stone thought about his mother, about the prayers he'd sent up every night as a child begging for someone to save them. Maybe those prayers had been answered after all. Just not for him, for someone else. Someone who needed him. Maybe that was enough. "Yeah," he said quietly. "Maybe they are." The trial happened 6 weeks later. Stone sat in the front row every single day. He watched Marcus's lawyer try to spin lies into truth. He watched the prosecutor dismantle those lies piece by piece. He watched Grace take the stand and tell her story with courage that left the jury in tears. On the 4th day, Lily was asked to testify. Stone argued against it, said it was too much to ask of a 7-year-old. But Lily insisted, "I want to tell them what happened. I want them to know the truth." So Stone sat in the front row and watched this tiny girl, this brave, unbreakable girl, face her mother's abuser. Marcus wouldn't look at her, kept his eyes on the table. "Can you tell the court what you remember from that night?" the prosecutor asked gently. Lily nodded. "I was in my closet, hiding. Mama was on the floor. She wasn't moving." "Why were you hiding?" "Because Marcus was yelling. He always yelled when he got mad. But that night was worse. He hit Mama and she fell and I heard something break." "What did you do then?" "I found Mama's phone, the secret one, and I texted for help." "Who did you text?" Lily looked directly at Stone. Her eyes were steady. "I texted an angel and he came." The courtroom murmured. The prosecutor smiled. No further questions. When the verdict came back guilty on all charges, Grace collapsed into Stone's arms. Marcus was sentenced to 18 years, no possibility of early parole. Sheriff Holloway's trial was still pending, but Tommy assured them it was airtight, federal prison for a decade minimum. It was over. Really, truly over. Outside the courthouse, Lily grabbed Stone's hand. "Stone." "Yeah, kid." "Does this mean we get to keep you now?" Stone looked at Grace. She was smiling through her tears, nodding. He knelt down to Lily's level. "What do you mean, keep me? I mean, are you going to stay with us forever?" Stone thought about all the years he'd spent alone, all the roads he'd traveled, all the places he'd run to and from. Then he looked at this little girl, this fierce, beautiful little girl who changed everything with one wrong number. "Yeah," he said, "I'm staying, forever." Lily threw her arms around his neck. "I knew it. I knew you were our angel." Stone held her tight. Maybe he wasn't an angel. Maybe he was just a broken man who'd been given a second chance. But looking at Grace's face, seeing the love and hope shining in her eyes, he decided that was enough. More than enough. It was everything. 6 months changed everything. Stone moved out of his old house and into a place just 3 blocks from Grace's apartment, close enough to be there when they needed him, far enough to give them space to breathe. But most nights he ended up at their place anyway. "You might as well just move in," Grace said one evening, watching him fix the garbage disposal for the 3rd time that month. "You're here more than you're home." "This is home." The words came out before he could stop them. Grace looked up surprised. Then she smiled. "Yeah," she said softly. "I guess it is." Lily had her own opinions on the matter. "Stone, when are you going to marry Mama?" Stone nearly choked on his coffee. "What? Mary Beth at school says when a man loves a woman, he's supposed to marry her. You love Mama, right?" "Lily, it's a simple question. Yes or no?" Stone looked at Grace for help. She was hiding her smile behind her hand. "Thanks for the backup." "You're on your own, cowboy." Stone turned back to Lily. Those serious eyes, that no-nonsense expression. This kid was going to be a force of nature when she grew up. "Yeah," he said. "I love your mama." Lily beamed. "Then you should marry her. Obviously. It's not that simple." "Why not?" Stone opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again. "I don't know." Lily rolled her eyes. "Adults make everything so complicated." She grabbed her backpack and headed for the door. "I'm going to school. Think about what I said." The door slammed behind her. Grace burst out laughing. "Don't even say it," Stone warned. "I wasn't going to say anything." "You were thinking it." "I was thinking that my 7-year-old daughter just gave a 52-year-old biker relationship advice." Grace walked over and kissed his cheek. And she wasn't wrong. Stone watched her walk to the kitchen, watched the way she moved easy and confident, now so different from the broken woman he'd found on that floor. She wasn't wrong. Lily wasn't wrong at all. That weekend, Stone rode back to his hometown. He had business to take care of, business he'd been putting off for 30 years. The cemetery was quiet, peaceful, nothing like the chaos of his memories. He found his mother's grave in the back corner beneath an old oak tree. The headstone was simple, Margaret Brennan, beloved mother. Stone knelt in the grass. "Hey, Mama." The words felt strange. He hadn't talked to her since the day they buried her, hadn't allowed himself to visit, to remember, to feel. "I'm sorry I stayed away so long. I was angry. At Daddy, at the world, at myself for not being able to save you." He pulled a small photo from his pocket. Grace and Lily taken last week at the park. Lily was laughing, Grace was smiling, and Stone was in the background, watching them with a look on his face he barely recognized. Happiness. "I met someone, Mama. 2 someones, actually. A woman named Grace and her little girl, Lily. They've been through what you went through, what we went through. But they made it out, and I helped them." He placed the photo against the headstone. "I wish you could have met them. Lily reminds me of me when I was small, before everything went wrong. She's brave and stubborn, and she doesn't take crap from anybody." He laughed softly. "She'd have loved you." Stone sat there for a long time, letting the memories wash over him. The good ones and the bad ones. The love and the pain. "I'm not running anymore, Mama. For the first time in my life, I'm staying. I'm building something, and I'm not scared." He paused. "Okay, I'm a little scared, but I'm doing it anyway." He stood up, brushing dirt from his knees. "I'll come back, I promise, and next time I'll bring them with me. I think you'd like that." He kissed his fingers and pressed them to the headstone. "I love you, Mama. Always." Then he walked back to his bike and rode toward home. His real home. The Hells Angels clubhouse threw a party that night, not for any particular reason, just because Razor decided they needed one. Stone brought Grace and Lily. It was the first time they had been around the full chapter. Stone was nervous, though he'd never admit it. These men were his brothers, but they were also rough, loud, and intimidating. He wasn't sure how Grace would handle it. He shouldn't have worried. Within 10 minutes, Lily had 3 of the toughest bikers wrapped around her finger. Stone, she came running over, a huge biker named Bull trailing behind her. "Bull says he'll teach me to play poker." "You're 7, you're not playing poker." "But no," Bull shrugged helplessly. "Sorry, little lady, Stone's the boss." Stone's not the boss. Mama's the boss. Bull laughed so hard he nearly fell over. She's got you there, brother. Grace appeared at Stone's side, watching Lily charm the room. She's never been like this before. So open, so happy. Kids are resilient. It's not just resilience, it's you. Grace slipped her hand into his. You make her feel safe. You make us both feel safe. Stone didn't know what to say, so he just held her hand tighter. Razor stood up on a table and clinked his beer bottle with a fork. All right, listen up. I've got an announcement. The room went quiet. Most of you know Stone. You've ridden with him, fought with him, probably wanted to kill him at some point. Laughter rippled through the crowd. But what you might not know is that our brother here has gone soft. More laughter. Stone felt his face heat up. He answered a wrong number 6 months ago, a little girl asking for help. And instead of doing what any sensible person would do, hang up and mind his own business, he got on his bike and rode into a storm. The laughter faded. The room grew serious. He saved a mother and her daughter from a monster. He took on a corrupt sheriff, a broken systems, and everybody who told him to walk away. And he won. Razor raised his bottle. So here's to Stone, the man who proved that even the baddest among us can be the best of us. The room erupted in cheers, bottles raised, backs slapped. Stone stood there overwhelmed. Then Lily's voice cut through the noise. Speech, speech, speech. The chanting picked up. Stone glared at Razor. I'm gonna kill you for this. Razor grinned. Get up there, brother. Stone reluctantly climbed onto the table. The room fell silent. I'm not good at speeches. You all know that. Murmurs of agreement. But I'll say this. 6 months ago, I was alone. I'd been alone my whole life. I thought that was what I deserved, what I was meant for. He looked at Grace, at Lily. I was wrong. Dead wrong. Sometimes the things we think we don't deserve are exactly what we need. And sometimes all it takes is one wrong number to change everything. He raised his bottle. To family. The one we're born with and the one we choose. The room exploded with cheers. When Stone climbed down, Lily was waiting. That was a good speech. You think so? I think you could have mentioned me more, but it was okay. Stone laughed and scooped her up. Noted for next time. There's going to be a next time. Kid with you's around, there's always a next time. 2 weeks later, Stone did something he never thought he'd do. He went to a jewelry store. The woman behind the counter looked at him like he'd wandered in by accident. Leather cut, tattoos, not exactly their typical customer. Can I help you buy your phone? I need a ring. What kind of ring? Stone stared at the display case. Dozens of rings, all glittering, all expensive, all completely overwhelming. I don't know, something right. The woman's expression softened. For someone special, the most special, she smiled. Tell me about her. So Stone did. He told her about Grace, about her strength, her courage, her smile, about the way she laughed, about the way she looked at him like he was worth something. And by the time he finished, the woman was wiping her eyes. I know exactly what you need. She pulled out a simple band, white gold with a small diamond that caught the light like a captured star. It's not flashy, she said, but it's strong, elegant, built to last. Stone held it up. Something clicked in his chest. It's perfect. He paid for the ring and walked out of the store. Now he just had to figure out how to ask. He practiced in front of the mirror. That was a disaster. Grace, will you? No, Grace, I was wondering if... No, Grace, I love you and I want to spend... No, no, no. Razor found him muttering to himself in the garage. Having trouble. I don't know how to do this. Do what? Ask a woman to marry you. Razor shrugged. Just ask. Just ask, that's your advice. What do you want me to say? Get down on one knee, give a speech, put the ring on her finger. It's not complicated. Says the man who's been divorced 3 times. Exactly. I'm an expert on what not to do. Razor clapped him on the shoulder. Stop overthinking it, brother. Grace loves you. Lily loves you. The hard part's already over. Stone knew he was right, but the fear was still there whispering in his ear. What if she said no? What if she came to her senses? What if his phone rang, Grace's number? Hey, Stone, you need to come over. Now. His blood went cold. What's wrong? Is Lily okay? Lily's fine. It's just come over, please. He was on his bike before she finished talking. When he burst through the door, he found Grace sitting at the kitchen table. She wasn't crying, wasn't scared, but there was something in her eyes he couldn't read. What is it? What happened? Grace took a deep breath. I got a letter today, from the state. What kind of letter? She slid the envelope across the table. Stone picked it up and read. His heart stopped. They want to give you sole custody. Full custody. Permanent. Marcus has no parental rights. It's over, Stone. Really, truly over. Stone stared at the letter, at the official stamps and signatures, at the words that meant Grace and Lily were finally completely free. This is incredible. There's more. Grace stood up. I've been doing a lot of thinking these past few weeks about us, about the future, about what I want. Stone's throat tightened. And well, I want you, Stone, not just as a boyfriend or a partner or whatever we've been calling this. I want you as family, real family. She walked over to the counter and picked up an envelope of her own. I talked to a lawyer about what it would take for you to adopt Lily, legally, officially. Stone couldn't breathe. What are you saying? I'm saying that Lily needs a father, a real father, someone who will be there for her, protect her, love her like his own. Grace's eyes glistened. I'm saying I want that father to be you. Stone stood frozen. His mind raced through 1,000 thoughts, 1,000 fears, 1,000 reasons why he wasn't good enough. But then he thought about Lily, about her smile, her laugh, the way she called him her angel, and he thought about the ring in his pocket. Grace, yeah, before you say anything else, I need to do something. He reached into his jacket and pulled out the small velvet box. Grace's eyes went wide. Stone got down on one knee. I had this whole speech planned about how you changed my life, how Lily changed my life, how I never thought I'd have a family, never thought I deserved one, and then you both came along and proved me wrong. He opened the box. The ring caught the light. But Razor told me to just ask, so I'm asking. He looked up at her. Grace Harper, will you marry me? Grace was crying now, really crying, but she was also laughing. Yes, God, yes, 1,000 times yes. Stone slid the ring onto her finger. It fit perfectly. Then he was on his feet and she was in his arms, and they were kissing like the world was ending and beginning all at the same time. Mama Stone, what's happening? They pulled apart. Lily stood in the doorway, her eyes moving from Grace's tears to the ring on her finger to Stone's face. Stone asked Mama to marry him, Grace said. Lily's jaw dropped. Really, for real? For real, Lily screamed. Not a scared scream, a pure, joyful 7-year-old scream. She launched herself at Stone, nearly knocking him over. I knew it. I knew you were going to. Mary Beth owes me her dessert for a week. You bet on this. Obviously, it was a sure thing. Lily hugged him tighter. Does this mean you're going to be my dad now? Stone's throat closed up. He looked at Grace, who nodded through her tears. If you want me to be. Lily pulled back. Her eyes were serious. That same serious expression she'd had the night she texted him for help. I've always wanted a dad, a good one, like in the movies. She took his hand. You're better than the movies, Stone. You're real. Stone knelt down to her level. Then yeah, kid, I'm going to be your dad. Lily threw her arms around his neck. Best day ever. They held each other for a long time. Grace joined them, wrapping her arms around both of them. A family, a real family, built from wreckage and pain in one wrong number, but real nonetheless. The wedding was small, just the club, Beth, and some women from the shelter, and a handful of friends who'd become family over the past months. They held it in the backyard of their new house, the one they'd bought together with a room for Lily and a garage for Stone's bike and a porch where Grace could sit and watch the sunset. Lily was the flower girl. She took the job extremely seriously. No smiling during the processional, she instructed Stone before the ceremony. It's very serious business. Yes, ma'am. And don't mess up your vows. I helped Mama write hers. They're very romantic. I'll do my best. Your best better be good enough. Razor, serving as best man, laughed. She's got you trained already. Shut up. When the music started and Grace appeared at the end of the aisle, Stone forgot how to breathe. She was beautiful, not because of the dress or the flowers or any of that. She was beautiful because she was Grace. His Grace. The woman who'd trusted him when she had every reason not to. The woman who'd let him in when the whole world had taught her to lock the door. She walked toward him, Lily by her side, and Stone felt 30 years of walls crumbled to dust. The ceremony was simple. The vows were simple. I promise to love you, Grace said, to protect you, to stand by you no matter what storms come. You saved me, Stone. Now I want to spend the rest of my life saving you right back. Stone cleared his throat, twice. I'm not good with words, you know that. But here's what I know. I spent 52 years believing I wasn't meant for this. For love, for family, for happiness. Then I got a text from a scared little girl and everything changed. He looked at Lily, then back at Grace. You didn't just give me a family. You gave me a reason to be better. To be the man I was too scared to become. I promise to honor that gift every single day. I promise to be here no matter what. I promise to never stop fighting for you, for Lily, for us. He took her hand. I'm not going anywhere, Grace. Not ever. This is where I belong. The minister pronounced them husband and wife. Stone kissed his bride. Lily cheered so loud the neighbors probably heard. And somewhere maybe Stone's mother smiled. The adoption paperwork went through 3 months later. Stone, Grace, and Lily sat in a courtroom, a different kind of courtroom this time, while a judge made it official. Mr. Brennan, do you understand that by adopting this child, you are taking on all the responsibilities and privileges of parenthood? I do. And you, Lily, do you understand what this means, that Mr. Brennan will be your legal father? Lily nodded solemnly. Yes, Your Honor, I've been waiting for this my whole life. The judge smiled. Then by the power vested in me, I hereby declare that Colt Stone Brennan is now the legal father of Lily Harper Brennan. She banged her gavel. Lily turned to Stone with the biggest smile he'd ever seen. Can I call you Dad now? Stone's voice cracked. Yeah, kid, you can call me Dad. Okay, Dad. She said it like she'd been practicing. Like she'd been waiting. Stone pulled her into his arms and held on tight. A father. He was a father. The scared little boy who used to hide under his bed praying for someone to save him had become someone's dad. If that wasn't a miracle, Stone didn't know what was. 1 year later, Stone sat on the porch of their house watching the sunset. Lily was inside doing homework. Grace was making dinner. The sounds of ordinary life drifted through the open window, laughter clattering dishes, the radio playing softly. Stone's phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. His heart skipped for a moment. Old instincts, old fears. Then he read the message. Hi, you don't know I'll be dating, but I heard your story. I'm in trouble and I don't know who else to call. Can you help? Stone stared at the screen. For a long moment, he didn't move, didn't breathe. Then he typed his response. Tell me everything. The door opened behind him. Grace stepped onto the porch, drying her hands on a towel. Who was that? Stone showed her the message. Grace read it, and understanding dawned in her eyes. Another one? Looks like it. Grace sat down beside him. What are you going to do? Stone thought about the question. Thought about his old life, the running, the hiding, the emptiness. Thought about his new life, the family, the love, the purpose. What I always do, he said. What I was always meant to do. He leaned over and kissed her. I'm going to help. Grace smiled. I'll keep dinner warm. Stone went to the garage. Lily appeared in the doorway. Dad, where are you going? He looked at his daughter, a word he'd never thought he'd use, a gift he'd never thought he'd receive. There's someone who needs help, sweetheart. I'll be back soon. Lily's face was serious. Be careful, Dad. Always. Promise. Stone walked over and hugged her tight. Promise. He climbed onto his bike and kicked it to life. The engine roared, that familiar sound that had carried him through 1,000 miles and 100 lifetimes. But this time was different. This time he wasn't running from something. He was riding toward it. The road stretched out before him, endless and full of possibility. Behind him was everything he'd built: a wife who loved him, a daughter who called him Dad, a family he'd never dreamed possible. Ahead of him was someone in trouble. Someone who'd reached out to a stranger just like Lily had done one dark night in a storm. Stone didn't know their name, didn't know their story, didn't know what waited at the end of this road. But he knew one thing for certain. He was going to show up, because that's what angels do. And maybe, just maybe, that's what he'd been all along. Not a biker, not a broken man, not a loner with too many scars. An angel waiting for the right wrong number to set him free. Stone opened the throttle and rode into the fading light. The road called, and he answered. Because some people are born to run, some people are born to hide, but some people, the rare ones, the brave ones, the ones who've been through hell and come out the other side, some people are born to save. Stone was one of them. He always had been. He just hadn't known it yet. Until a little girl typed the wrong number and changed everything, forever.